Have you guys ever seen something so pretty before? Ooh. Okay. Hi everyone. So today I thought that we would do a sort of like a vintage gadget test. And I am someone who I love going to flea markets. I love finding, like old kitchen items. And I happened to come across something like this. So I think that this was actually a pretty popular item maybe a couple decades back, but it was made by the brand Ovenex. So I think it's Eco Ovenex. And the company made these starburst pattern pans, I think around the 1940s, but the company, I think, originally started in World War I, making military boxes. And I'm trying to see whether, I don't know if they started in Chicago and then had a plant here, or they had a plant in England, but then also had Ovenex Chicago as well. So you'll kind of see like this right here, this says made in England, but there are the same Ovenex pans selling right now that also say made in the US. So what's particularly cool about this, I guess, is the idea that you can, after you finish baking your cakes, sometimes they have a tendency to stick in the pan. It's really hard to get out. And this little, slider guy is supposed to make everything, it's supposed to make everything better and everything easier. And so I thought I would put it to the test and see how it goes. Now, my initial thoughts behind this is usually people can't get cakes out of pans because they, haven't buttered the bottom enough. They didn't put a parchment, parchment paper makes a huge difference. And then they didn't let the cake properly cool. Because once cake finishes cooking and it cools, it kind of retracts a little bit. And then that also helps it come out, in one piece instead of having a big clunk stuck on the pan. That is sort of my concern for this, because you can see the slider, there is this part, there is some kind of some space under and around the slider. And my worry is once the cake is in there, the batters kind of go in and out of that space, and I'm just not sure if it's going to work out well. But I thought that I would give this a try anyways, and just to see maybe it will work. So I'm gonna put this down. I'm going to be making a chocolate, just an easy chocolate cake with you guys. I'm just finishing this off now. So how I'm gonna prepare this pan. I believe that this is made from tin. I checked it out. I didn't want to poison myself or anything. So that's the tricky bit behind these old pans, is you have to make sure that they're safe to cook with as well. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm liberally going to just smush in some vegan butter in here, because when I was reading about these pans, people were saying that back in the day, they put a lot of butter in this pan to make sure that everything would come out. I feel like I put a little too much in. There's a lot. There's a lot in there. But I want to make sure that it comes out. What I thought I'd do is, after I take it out of the oven, I want it to rest and cool down for about an hour or so. I want to give it proper cooling time. But part of me also wants to be well, I wonder how good this slider is. Maybe I should be able to take out cake anytime. So I think if I let it cool for an hour, it should be cooled, but maybe not totally. So kind of a medium time frame here. Okay. Tap, tap, tap. We're gonna stick this into the oven. I'm gonna let it cool. We're gonna come back and see how this goes. Okay, let's do this. So I have the cake right out here. I originally wanted to take it out earlier, but then I ended up being lazy and I waited a couple of hours. And what's already happening, I think, is from the temperature difference, the cake has already started to contract. So you can actually see it separate from around the pan already. So I think that that's promising. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start just rotating it a little bit because I actually think it's coming off. It's actually pretty smooth. I don't have like a ton of resistance, so that makes me think this is probably going to come out fine. So that's basically it. All right. So I have good feelings about it because I can already feel that it is releasing. So I should have done that and then done this. Interesting. Okay, so this actually has released really well. I mean, there's very few crumbs on this. So I think the oil has done its job, and then that release Velma thing has really done its job. You can see that the cake, in terms of the texture, looks fine. It was able to release from the pan really well. We're seeing little black spots here, and I think that's because this pan is old and I'm probably not going to be eating this cake, but I did clean it with an oven cleaner, which is what a lot of people recommended to do with these old Ovenex pans first. So I did like an oven cleaner and then I oiled it again just to make sure that it wouldn't rust. But I think what happened, kind of like Oreo cookies, but I think that those may be the parts that have reacted to the cake. I mean, you guys let me know if you guys have some old Ovenex bakeware. Let me know if this happens to you. It's like the rusty bit. In terms of whether it was able to release from the pan, it released really well. The little slider bar, which I was so surprised about because I thought it would definitely cut into the cake, did not do that even without parchment paper. It just... Oh, it's so sad. Yeah, so that has broken up into a couple of pieces. But yeah, short of that, it really did its job. It was able to release with the slider, and I am very happy with it, short of the fact that it is a very old pan. But I do know that in today's time, there are renewed versions of the Ovenex. So there are definitely cake pans with sliders on it that are of this era, so it won't make your cakes rusty. So yeah, so I hope you guys all enjoyed that little vintage equipment reveal. I want to say most of the times if I'm cooking on like vintage stuff, like doing tests like this, unfortunately, I'm probably not going to be eating the actual thing, short of like if I know what metal it is, if I know everything about it. But sometimes like things in the past have a tendency to have like lead, like different stuff in it. So you have to be careful about that. Yeah, so I hope you guys all enjoyed this vintage review. Let me know what else you want to see. I got a sesame in my teeth. Let me know what else you want to be reviewed, and if you guys like this, give it a thumbs up, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and I'll see you guys again next time, okay? Bye.